because they were possible. We expect to see that demonstrated later on.
Absolutely, we rely on those coming across
the later stages, of course, it was used for air sea rescue. And now you see that the boats now being displaced. You can see how they would drastically raise the airframe drag. He's mentioning air sea rescue. This is, of course, how this aircraft is configured. It's configured as what's called an OA-10A, which was one of a relatively small number of Catalina made available to the US Army Air Forces, specifically the 8th Air Force here in East Anglia, towards the very end of World War II. I believe that they didn't desire to have aircraft of this type as part of the 8th Air Force.
Yeah,
either their sea rescue down in the waters off the UK, but aircraft simply hadn't been available because of the need for another theatres. That then changed, and the 5th Emergency Rescue Squadron stationed at Ellsworth was the recipient. The colours on this aircraft are those of that squadron, an aircraft known as Wilson Pickup. That's the name that the company made. Those are on the side of the aeroplane. This year, apart from the other anniversaries we were talking about, also the 80th anniversary of the mission that is this pickup's most famed. On the 30th of March that year, it was flying under the call sign Teamwork 75, land on the water as part of a rescue sortie. And they tried to take off again. So they taxied for an hour and a half to get away from the Dutch coast. The next day, Messerschmitt B-262 jet fighters of the Luftwaffe came along and shot up the Catalina. The crew got down, they jumped in their dinghies. That was on the 31st of March. They were eventually all rescued, including the pilot that they had landed to rescue on the 4th of April. huge thanks to the crew, to the captain, Phil Pettit, and the co-pilot, Jeff Boyling, of Plain Sailing's Catalina. Thank you, gentlemen.